Come in. Come in to this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place. Together, we make it a holy place. And I believe the soul singers are going to lead us in our first song. Would you like people to rise in body or, no, not rise in body or spirit?
The Teal Hymnal is a treasure chest of great songs, but some of them are hard to follow. So on this one, we encourage you to sing the whole thing if you like, but the chorus is on the second page, and that's what we really want to hear you singing out on. All right, now you can stand. We cleared off the table, leftovers saved, washed the dishes, and put them away. I told you a story, tucked you in tight at the end of your knockabout day. As the moon sets the sail to carry you to sea, over the midnight sea. I will sing you a song no one can to me. Maybe you could come for me. Oh, you can be anybody you want to be. You can love whoever you will. You can travel any country where your heart beats, and no matter
Well, good for us. Would you remain standing, please, if you choose, for the chalice lighting and the doxology? Would our chalice lighters come forward, please? And they will lead us in the words for the lighting of the flame.
Let this flame be to us a symbol of the wholeness we seek.
Its brightness dispelling gloom, lighting a path to faith and hope.
Its glow reminding us of the sacred bonds that link us to all living things.
Its radiance calling us to pass the light of freedom, justice, and peace on all the world. Please be seated. Good morning and welcome on this beautiful late fall morning. I am the Reverend Susan Milner. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. It's my honor to serve as interim minister to this congregation of faith and hope, and it's also my honor and pleasure today to share leading the service with member Donna Savicki. She is one of the members of your ministerial search committee, and so we want you to see these folks and be able to talk to them as much as possible. We gratefully acknowledge the Patuxet Wampanoag people on whose ancestral lands we gather today, and we commit to support and honor their history and culture. We really do welcome all of you members and friends, newcomers, visitors, those of you who are here in this historic sanctuary with us, with you online who are joining us by Zoom, wherever you are physically, whoever you are, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey. For this 1 hour, we're so glad that we're with you, and we want you to feel very much at home here. Everyone here, physically at least, is invited to the coffee hour following the service. It is through those doors in the parlor and down at that end of the building. If you're visiting, please take a red mug if you wish, and that way we will know that you're new and be able to have a chance to speak with you. Sharon Nabreski has a brief announcement that she would like to make. Would you come forward, Sharon?
Just a reminder, the holiday fair is coming. It's the Saturday, December 7th. We need every volunteers. Jim Hamilton is chair, but he left town and left me in charge. So I'm taking this opportunity to make a quick announcement. I'm in charge of greens. I would love everyone to sign up that loves to play with and decorate wreaths and make baskets and centerpieces. We also need people to cut greens and bring them to the church. The week after Thanksgiving, just leave them outside in the door downstairs facing the town hall. You'll see that they kind of accumulate there. The Ruby's Cafe, the lunchroom, they're looking for people to volunteer to make quiches. There is a sign-up sheet in the parlor as you leave. So put your name if you're willing to volunteer to make a quiche. That's all I have to say.
And sign-up sheets are on the round table in the parlor, is that correct? Yes. All right. If someone will start us, we will sing our children out to go to their program downstairs. Our first reading today is an old but favorite one. Although Robert Frost, who wrote it, it's the poem, The Road Not Taken, might not have anticipated my tapping it the way I am today, but that's the beauty of it. It's such a universal thing. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, just as fair and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere, ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. This coming Wednesday, nationally, is a day of transgender remembrance. It is specifically a day started several years ago to remember those transgender individuals who have died because of violence against them, but to also to honor diversity and the right to take our paths. And Donna and Mary are going to light a candle in honor of Transgender Remembrance Day. Mary Flanagan and Donna Savicki. Oh, you're going to speak up here, sorry.
Now, as Susan said, next Wednesday is Transgender Day of Remembrance. We are lighting this special candle today for all transgender people in recognition of their struggles and in honor of the human right we all have to live as our authentic selves.
And let me invite you into a spirit of meditation today. And this piece was created by Nathan C. Walker. It's called a survival meditation. And that's something that we all need at times, and maybe a lot of us need just now. So you might enter into it by just being aware of breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, I'm aware of my pain. Breathing out, I'm aware that I am not my pain. Breathing in, I am aware of my past. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my past. Breathing in, I am aware of my anger. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my anger. Breathing in, I am aware of my despair. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my despair. Breathing in, I am aware of peace. Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of peace. Breathing in, I am aware of love. Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of love. Breathing in, I am aware of joy. Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of joy. Breathing in, I am aware of hope. Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of hope. Breathing in, I am aware. And now, aware of our breath and all that we are and can be, let us enter into the silence. May our hopes and dreams take flight on the wings of love. Amen. Blessed be. There are so many things we support at this time of year. Don't forget our box in the parlor to support the Interfaith Council drive for holiday support of families in need. Don't forget our food pantry where you can leave things every week. Maybe we can make a special effort next week, the week before Thanksgiving. And maybe it's more important than ever this year. But the thing I would invite you this morning to be as generous with as you can, and it is not always easy, is acceptance. Acceptance of one another, acceptance somehow of the people, even the people with whom we don't necessarily share all of our values or agree. Acceptance of people who need it desperately. It's such an opening, giving thing to be able to accept. And we are glad in this church to accept your support for the ministries of this congregation as well. Please, in these difficult days, support us as generously as you can. The morning offering will now be gratefully received.
It's a pleasure to be up here today to share this beautiful reading that Reverend Susan found for me to read to you. If any of you have never been up here and looked out from the pulpit, I urge you to do that. It's just a wonderful view, especially the beautiful pipes of the organ. The reading is entitled Making Room at the Table. It's by Erica Hewitt. Erica begins with a quotation from the Reverend Teresa Soto, and it reads, "We are the people who return to love like a North Star and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone." Erica continues, "I spend a lot of my Saturday evenings feeling awkward at wedding receptions because most guests don't want to talk to the minister. Are they worried that I'm boring or that I'll look them deeply in the eye and ask about their relationship with God? Either way, being alone with a plate of hors d'oeuvres is preferable to going home to finish my sermon. A few weeks ago, though, I was delighted when a table of wedding guests, obviously friends, who traveled from 2 states away, waved me over. We're therapists, one of them explained, so nobody ever wants to talk to us either. Upon learning that I'm a Unitarian Universalist, the entire group, not all of them white, not all of them straight, not all of them gender conforming, exchanged knowing looks. "What?" I probed. "That means you're safe," one of them announced as the others nodded. They're not religious, they elaborated, but they trust UU communities to accept them without judgment. It makes you want to cheer, doesn't it, when outsiders praise the people you call home? I so wanted to gather up their affirmations to dole out back at the UU ranch, but I couldn't. As I smiled politely, I called to mind the UUs in my life who are queer, who live with a disability, who are people of color. I thought about their countless stories of their lived experience being painted over with the brush of privilege and the harm inflicted upon them by people with good intentions. I remembered my colleague, Sean Parker Dennison's reminder that there are many people in the world who are never completely safe and don't expect to be. Those of us inside the Unitarian Universalist fold know that when it comes to living our expansive, inclusive, anti-oppression faith, we fall short, sometimes in 3D Technicolor ways. I do, and every time my privilege and I cause harm, I get to decide whether my arrogant decision that I'm enlightened or woke outweighs evidence to the contrary. It was a gift on that early summer evening to be received by a group of strangers as if I belonged, and to hear them call my UU kindred a haven. While I know there's a gap between who they say we are and who we are in practice, those 7 therapists gave me a second gift. They fortified my commitment to keep closing the gap and to transform our UU communities into havens, a home for all who need us.
woman who is no longer with us in this life said that she needed to make an appointment and tell me something. And when we sat down, she was very somber. And she said quite definitively, a woman can never be my minister. And she explained that her pastors had always been men, and that she simply regarded men as the authorities. And she said, if anybody's going to, maybe you could, but it won't happen. I didn't know what to say. They didn't train me for that. And so I thanked her for her honesty, but I did think about the moment on the plane. And that was not the only moment of bias that I've encountered as a minister. I was told by the professor who introduced me to Unitarian Universalism that I was too short to become a minister. Over the years, I have been told, not so much recently, but for years, how to wear my hair, how to dress and how not to dress. I've been given people's cards for their hairdressers. At weddings and memorials, I've dealt with families who question whether the ritual I conducted would actually be legal. And more seriously, I have been stalked by a hostile man for refusing to try to harass his ex-girlfriend into seeing him again. There have been moments when I wondered if I should have taken a different road, a different path, when I ruminated and wondered how many people shared that woman's view of so many years ago. And yet, nearly 37 years after my ordination, here I am. And I can tell you that the open-minded, open-hearted relationships have greatly outnumbered the closed ones, and the affirmations have been more than overwhelming of those difficult ones. And so please understand, this is not a sermon about personal grievance at all. It's a sermon about freedom. We religious liberals and Unitarian Universalists in particular put freedom at the center of our faith. A few of our ancestors even died for freedom of conscience and practice. But it would be superficial to identify that freedom as only the freedom to accept or deny certain theological doctrines, like whether you believe in God or how you view Jesus. At our best, what we seek is a deeper life, a more whole life, the freedom to be who we fully are without apology, and the freedom that goes along with that to work through our biases, to embrace others as who they are and what they have to offer, so that in the end, all of us are free to be more fully human. Isn't that what we want? Some of you attended the Breaking Barriers, Building Beliefs workshop 2 weeks ago, and the immediate purpose is to make congregations aware of biases that might prevent them from choosing a minister on the basis of a certain identity. But the principles and insights apply just as much to our relationships anywhere in life, our families, our workplaces, our communities, whether it's in selecting your next minister or welcoming the person sitting beside you. The first step is simply accepting that we all have biases. We can be good and have biases. It's hard to admit that, especially for us in a free religion. It's hard to have the conversations about it because all of us, including yours truly, would prefer to think that we do not. And surely none of us wants to be made to feel guilty or to be shamed. And maybe that's where we go wrong sometimes. That doesn't get us anywhere. But here's the thing. There's a lot of research that has demonstrated how powerful the biases we're not aware of, the unconscious ones, the implicit ones are, the attitudes that we hold that we don't even know we hold that affect the way we feel and the way we think and the way we respond to people. And they might not be really well formed, but they can be very deeply ingrained. We can have inherited them from the beginning. They can even be internalized by the people who are being stereotyped. Witness a then youngish feminist woman seeking to be a religious leader who feared, however momentarily, that a woman pilot couldn't handle the plane. The flight, by the way, was smooth as silk. And maybe the most helpful thing and the way to get to the second step of unlearning biases is for the starting point not to be shame or guilt, but understanding ourselves. That ability to form biases, and not all biases are bad. Maybe you have a bias for chocolate or green. But that ability comes naturally, not the content of it, but the muscle for it. As children, very, very young children, we apparently distinguish between those that we perceive to be like us and those who are not. An instinct that's deeply embedded in us as creatures, as animals. When our ancestors lived in tribes on the savannah hundreds of thousands of years ago, our very survival might have depended on being able to identify those in our group. See your own, stick to your own, stay alive. But the more that life has changed, the more we've lived in larger, diverse cultures, the more problematic those tendencies to create an us and them have become. And in our contemporary, global, multicultural world, they have the power, obviously, to create great harm to individuals and horrific injustices to groups of people, maybe even to destroy human habitability on the planet. But think about it as spiritual folks who are interested in our own well-being. Prejudice alienates us from our own values. Because when those prejudices go awry, as John A. Powell, the director of the Haas Institute, says, the biases lead us to take actions that are not in line with our values, our stated beliefs. And that's why we, as spiritual communities, try to do the work to understand and challenge those biases. Here in a faith where equality and inclusion and belief in the inherent worth of each person are primary values. It's worthy work, it's good work that seeks to free us. It seeks to free us from what holds us back and makes us less whole. And to our point here, it frees congregations from limiting the futures that they could have with talented people. So how have biases affected ministerial searches? When women entered the ministry, people worried, could women lead? Would they preach intellectual enough sermons? Never mind that we never worried whether male ministers, and whether would they have children, we worried about that. And never mind that we never worried about whether male members would have children or that men are called sensitive when they preach from the heart. Then when we opened up more quickly than most all denominations to gay ministers, people feared at worst for the safety of children, conflating homosexuality with pedophilia, as though children have always been safe with heterosexual clergy. Or they were concerned that something bad or unfortunate would happen to a congregation if the minister didn't have a family, as if a gay minister can't have a family or a single person can't be a whole person. When it came to black ministers, that's a topic too big for easy reference, but one concern still that comes up every year is whether that person would preach only about race, as if black ministers don't have the same desire to serve, to succeed in ministry, and to explore this incredible world as anyone else. And when it comes to ministers with disabilities or mental health diagnoses or neurodiversity, the concern is often whether they have the stamina to do ministry, as though plenty of ministers with the traditional profile haven't had breakdowns, addictions, serious illnesses, dysfunctions. Sometimes the people who've learned the most about their bodies and their minds and how to keep them functioning have the most stamina. And all of those biases stigmatized, but they're lichens layered on our psyches by norms and advertising, by religious teachings when we were young, and false assumptions, by fear, by misinformation, and they can be scraped off through awareness. After so many years in ministry, I can tell you, and I tell you this from my heart and soul, it's worth going beyond that bias, that first thought, and looking at the person. It's worth taking the other road, the road that's free. I supervised a black intern who taught me more about compassion for our largely white congregation than anyone else, and whose strong center and stamina would I knew keep her grounded in ministry as it has. I was fortunate enough to serve for a year with a transgender colleague who was one of the best pastoral ministers I have known, and whose clear boundaries and direct communication made working with them a joy. I have been in close colleague support groups with non-binary ministers, queer and gay ministers, and I've learned from a minister with a disability who mentored me and who is an excellent minister in every fiber of her being. All of those people face biases, but all of them have done great ministry. And you know why? Because at their center, as human beings, as ministers, they have compassion, so much compassion, courage, and commitment to the beloved community. And that's what it takes to do ministry. But friends, this isn't just about ministry. It's about the way we live with each other, all of us. It's about the freedom of the other way, the possibilities for repair and love and healing rather than judging and fearing and breaking. It's about those possibilities if we take that road. And it can even play out among, of all professions, law enforcement. Officer Fitzgerald had served the Portland, Maine police for more than 20 years and viewed it as a calling after retiring honorably from the U.S. Air Force, where they served as an aircraft mechanic. Last year, 2023, Fitzgerald made a very difficult decision to tell colleagues at the Portland Police Department who had known Fitzgerald as male, that her true self had always been a woman. I've got to do this. I have to have my life, Fitzgerald said. I'm 62 years old and I'm living 2 lives. Why do I have to live like that? Julie Fitzgerald wasn't at all sure how her fellow officers would react. But her concerns lifted as she told more and more people. The response was, in her words, fabulous. They were like, "We love you. Who cares?" Police Chief Heath Gorham said he was not surprised by the level of understanding and acceptance. Julie is part of the fabric of this department. To see the acceptance from our officers continues to be incredible. Our goal is just to support Julie as we move forward. Julie wants people to know that even in a job like hers, you can be yourself and be accepted. This doesn't change me, she says. I'm the same person. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of me. How freeing for Julie to be herself, but how freeing for the other officers as well, because instead of losing a comrade, they kept a beloved friend and colleague. Together, they all took the other road, and that made all the difference. So may we travel as well. Would you rise in body or spirit and join in singing number 170, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People." our ushers extinguish, or one of our chalice bearers extinguish the chalice, please. And I invite you to join the words that are printed in the words that are printed in your order of service, please. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Be kind, be brave, be just, be merciful, be hopeful. This is how we keep the chalice burning until we are together again to light it anew. The words of Adam Sleep.